The palace of the Elorian Empire drifted across the violet sky like a floating fortress. It was a place of luminous spires, shimmering halls, and corridors that pulsed with gentle bioluminescent light. The Elorians were known across the galaxy as a species of elegance and discipline. Their queen, regal and wise, was the heart of their civilization. Under her command, the empire prospered and maintained alliances that stretched across star systems. Humans had only recently earned a small place among these allies. They served as guards, envoys, and specialists. Many Elorians still regarded humans with caution, unsure of their potential, yet curious about their reputation for resilience and ingenuity. Among the human guards stationed in the palace was a man named Leon. He was not a warrior of legendary skill, nor a diplomat of grand influence. He was simply reliable. He performed his duties with quiet focus and unwavering vigilance. The queen herself had approved his placement after observing his record of integrity. Leon walked the palace halls with calm steps, absorbing every detail of his surroundings. He was not intimidated by the grandeur nor the alien beauty. Instead, he saw it as a duty worth protecting. On the day that changed everything, the palace was alive with preparation. Delegates from several worlds had gathered for an important council. The queen was to address them in the central hall. Elorian soldiers lined the walkways, while human guards supported them at every checkpoint. Leon stood near the entrance of the grand hall, scanning the flow of attendants with steady eyes. A soft breeze swept through the chamber as the queen stepped forward, adorned in shimmering silver robes that shifted with the palace light. Before she could speak, her voice caught. Her posture wavered. A moment later, she collapsed to the polished floor. A wave of alarm surged through the hall. Elorian medics rushed forward. Delegates shouted in confusion. Leon's instincts propelled him through the gathering turmoil. He reached the queen's side and saw her breathing weaken. The medics struggled to stabilize her. Their instruments flickered with uncertain readings. Something was wrong. Something deeper than a fainting spell or simple illness. The council was dismissed at once. Guards sealed the hall. The queen was taken to the inner medical chamber. Only a handful of trusted attendants were allowed in. Leon remained outside at first, watching with concern. He felt a strange pull, as if his presence would be needed sooner than anyone suspected. Hours passed. Whispers filled the corridors. Some believed the queen had been poisoned. Others feared a rare Elorian disorder. The empire trembled with uncertainty. The advisors argued about who should assume temporary command. Suspicion spread like wildfire. Yet none of the medics could determine the cause of her collapse. Their scans showed irregular neural patterns and weakening energy flow. No toxin could be identified. No physical injury explained the decline. Leon was eventually summoned by the chief advisor, a stern figure named Rovan. Rovan regarded humans with polite caution, yet he valued competence. He had noticed Leon's actions during the chaos. He requested the guard's presence in the central control room. The advisors stood around a table of floating displays. On one of them was a projection of the queen's vital signs. Shrinking and dim. Rovan spoke in a level voice. The queen claimed earlier that she sensed a disturbance before her collapse. Yet she gave no detail. We believe something within the palace triggered it. We need a perspective unbound by Elorian assumptions. Humans see patterns differently. I want you to examine the hall where this began. Leon accepted without hesitation. He understood the weight of the request. An entire empire depended on the queen. Her people followed her with absolute loyalty. If she fell, political conflict could erupt across space. He returned to the central hall where the incident occurred. Guards stood at attention. The floor had been cleaned, yet the memory of the collapse lingered in the air. Leon surveyed the area with meticulous care. He searched for anything out of place. A piece of dropped jewelry, a malfunctioning lamp, a displaced tile. Yet nothing looked unusual. Still he felt something. A faint sensation at the edge of perception. A subtle vibration that tugged at his instincts. Humans were known among the stars, not for natural abilities, but for adaptability. They sensed danger through experience and intuition, rather than technology. Leon followed that instinct, walking slowly toward the Queen's platform. He noticed the air was slightly colder near the raised stand. The palace lights flickered with an irregular pulse. He crouched and placed his palm on the surface. A faint hum resonated under his hand. It was not the usual energy signature. It felt foreign and unstable. He stood and looked around the hall. Decorative pillars lined the walls, each embedded with crystalline conductors that channeled palace energy. One of them showed a strange distortion in its glow. Leon approached it carefully. The crystal's light was uneven, pulsing with a discordant rhythm. He examined the base and found a small recessed panel, nearly invisible. Inside was a compact device unlike any Elorian technology. Leon recognized hints of a different design, one used by a rival species known for subtle infiltration. He called for palace engineers. When they scanned the device, their instruments detected an energy frequency that could disrupt Elorian neural pathways. It was weak but targeted, enough to destabilize the Queen's mind during a moment of high focus. The discovery sent shockwaves through the palace. Rovan ordered the hall sealed and began identifying who might have placed the device. Yet Leon felt another unease. The device alone did not explain why only the Queen collapsed. Others in the hall would have felt symptoms. He decided to revisit the medical chamber. This time Rovan allowed him in, trusting his judgment. The Queen lay on a luminous bed, her breathing shallow. Her pulse flickered through the display beside her. A soft blue glow surrounded her form. The medics had done all they could using conventional methods. Leon approached her quietly, feeling the weight of so much hope resting on her recovery. He asked the medics a simple question. Had anyone checked for residual energy connections between the Queen and the device? The medics hesitated. They had assumed the Queen's collapse caused internal imbalance rather than external tethering. Leon requested a deep scan focused on energy resonance rather than biological function. The results stunned them. A faint thread of energy tied the Queen's neural field to the disrupted crystal in the hall. It was like a subtle tether, pulling at her life force. The device had not poisoned her. It had linked her to an unstable distortion. A hidden source was feeding from the palace, pulling at her vitality like an unseen drain. Leon theorized that the device was merely a trigger. The true source might be larger and hidden deeper within the palace infrastructure. The medics urged Rovan to allow Leon full access to restricted engine rooms where palace energy was maintained. Rovan reluctantly agreed. Leon descended into the lower levels, a labyrinth of glowing conduits and humming reactors. Few guards ventured here. The palace's heart was a fusion of organic and mechanical engineering. Energy flowed like living veins through the walls. Yet something in this living structure felt disturbed. He noticed a section of conduits with irregular fluctuations. The pulsation matched the same discordant rhythm he observed in the hall crystal. Following the pattern, he traced it to a hidden chamber sealed behind a panel that no one had opened in years. With engineering approval, he forced it open. Inside was a chamber filled with old relics and obsolete devices. Long ago, the palace had used experimental energy systems. Most were abandoned when the technology proved unstable. Yet something within this forgotten room had reactivated. At the center lay a large crystalline core cracked along its surface. It pulsed with faint, harmful energy. Leon realized that the small device in the hall was not an infiltration tool, but a faulty relay. Someone had attempted to repair or repurpose old palace technology without understanding its danger. The queen, being deeply attuned to the palace's energy, had been the first to suffer the consequences. This was not sabotage. It was negligence hidden behind silence. Someone in the palace had tried to conceal their mistake. Leon relayed his findings to Rovan, who immediately ordered the unstable relic shut down. Engineers disconnected the energy lines and removed the device. The tether to the queen weakened at once, but the queen's condition remained fragile. She needed a counter-stabilizer. The medics said they required a direct energy link from a stable source. Elorian physiology responded best to a calm and steady flow. Humans, however, possessed an unusual neural resilience. Leon offered to connect through a regulated interface. His mind could provide the calm anchor needed to stabilize the queen without risking collapse. The idea shocked the advisors. A human mind linked to the queen was unprecedented. Yet time was running out. The medics prepared the interface. Leon sat beside the queen's bed, placed his hand on the crystalline node, and allowed the energy to flow. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then a soft wave of light surrounded both of them. Leon felt a gentle pull, like a tide moving across his thoughts. The queen's mind reached for a steady anchor. He gave her calm. He gave her focus. He gave her the strength humans carried through hardship. Minutes felt like hours, yet the energy slowly balanced. Her breathing steadied. The light around her softened. The medics watched with relief as her pull